than what they were earlier?
Yes, yes, very much so. Earlier today, we were seeing those severe storms as they were crossing the border. We even had a tornado warning in Texas and the Panhandle earlier this afternoon. But as they moved east, they slowly began to weaken quite a bit, fortunately. But our storm trackers were all over it, and they were tracked them from western Oklahoma all the way into Oklahoma City. We had Marty Logan and Kyle Wilson out. We also had Tom Pastrano and Daryl Wheeler and Val and Amy Castor. And it's been a very long past couple of days for them, but we track these storms no matter what, and they just brought a whole lot of wind and a whole lot of rain, just a little bit of hail. You can see the people, they had the flashers on just because it was a blinding rain. And again, with some of this storms that were coming in with the wind gusts, we did have some very weak, brief gust tornadoes, and we had quite a bit of blowing dust. I know Val and Amy, they saw that as it moved into western Oklahoma. So just a lot of wind, a lot of rain. No tornadoes in the state today. That's always a good thing. And yeah, I can just kind of see how ominous it was and how much lightning that we did have earlier today. There was a whole lot of lightning, a whole lot of wind, just a little bit of hail. Let's go ahead and go to Links 1 and kind of show you what happened. So you can kind of see where we had that 63-mile-an-hour wind gust in Cheyenne earlier. Well, as it moved off to the east, it slowly began to weaken. So the highest wind gust that we did see, at least at the airport, got up to about 43 miles an hour. As far as rain is concerned, we didn't do too bad in Oklahoma City. At the airport, we ended up with a little bit over a half of an inch, a little bit more though out to the west. Of course, that's where the storms were just a little bit stronger. But starting from earlier this morning, we had the storms that moved into the Panhandle, eventually into Oklahoma City. It took all day to get there, and we could still see some more storms eventually by early tomorrow morning, but I think that severe threat's going to be extremely low. Looking at Next Gen Live right now, things are very quiet. Zooming in just a little bit closer, we still have some light rain in between Blanchard down to Dibble, Payne, Wayne, but even that's falling apart as it drifts towards Pauls Valley and Wynnewood. So we're doing pretty good. As far as the rain, we keep getting the rain in here, and the drought monitor, it has improved a little bit. Now we're down to 42%, but notice the drought, it's still starting to creep back in into the south and east. Now it seems like most of the storms keep happening out to the west. Not a bad thing, but we're starting to see a little bit more of a drought in the southeast. Norman Regional Camera, part of our Lucky Star Skycam network. More of a partly cloudy sky right now. We're at 71 degrees. A northeast wind at 7 miles an hour with dew points in the low 60s. Temperatures only in the upper 60s and low 70s out to the west, and where we really didn't get any rain and storms today, temperatures still holding into the upper 70s, even some low 80s still showing up. The wind kind of all over the place right now. Generally, it looks like most of us have more of an east to southeast wind between about really 5 to 15 or so. So overnight tonight, things generally look pretty quiet. But by early tomorrow morning, some of the data is still bringing in a few showers, maybe a couple of storms. Eventually, that should go away later in the afternoon. But by late afternoon into early evening, we still have to watch for the chance of more storms that could redevelop out in the Panhandle. We'll make a run for western Oklahoma. Some of the latest data trying to keep these storms in southwest Oklahoma. But eventually, by late tomorrow night, some more storms kind of redevelop over the metro, and those still have the potential of becoming strong to severe. So we're going to be watching that very closely. As we get into the weekend, it looks like storm chances generally stay in far eastern Oklahoma. So tonight, temperatures, they're going to hold steady in the low 70s. By tomorrow morning, there's just a slight chance we do get some isolated showers and storms that could redevelop. Tomorrow afternoon, I think we're going to be back in the upper 80s and low 90s, a breezy wind out of the southeast. And then tomorrow afternoon into the evening, again, the data's kind of all over the place, but right now it does look like the higher chance of rain and storms would be in western Oklahoma, but any one location still has a slight chance of seeing some more rain and storms eventually. So for tomorrow, late afternoon and into the evening and eventually after midnight, east of I-35, there's still going to be a low threat for some severe storms. The tornado threat overall, it's going to be really low. And if we do get anything, I think that would stay in the Panhandle. And that's also where the biggest hail could be, potentially up to tennis ball size hail. In Oklahoma City, at this point, I would go with up to about quarters and also up to about 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, with anything stronger than that taking place well out to the west. So your 9-day forecast showing that as we get into the weekend, yes, things do look a lot quieter. Unfortunately, with getting rid of those rain chances this weekend, temperatures go up quite a bit. 95 on Saturday, 94 on Sunday. We drop a little bit. We've got a front moving in by Monday, but we go from the mid-90s to low 90s, so hard to call it a cold front. And then next week, temperatures in the upper 90s. That could be the norm for a while. Guys, back to you.